First of all, I want to say, Robert, be careful what you wish for, because Pam and I sit at the dinner table now and look at each other and wonder what we're going to do with each other. So don't wish them out of the house too soon. Secondly, I want to apologize to Wanda. I'm the one that did the decorating today without Pam, and I didn't know what to do with it, so I put it up there. And my wife kindly pointed out the fact that my hangers don't match. So.
Well, it's how the reason I said that. The one on the end that is a yarn decorated one, my grandmother made. So it's got to be 50 years old.
Wasn't planned, it just happened. I want to take a second to thank Pastor John too. You know, he came and listened to me one afternoon and we sat and we talked, and I found out I have a lot in common with Pastor. Correct me if I'm wrong, he lost his father at age 16, did you say? And there are a lot of other similarities in our walk through this life. So it was good to sit with him. I didn't tell him anything, and what he picked out this morning fit in perfectly with what I'm going to bring you from the hymns, from the scripture, from the child's message. I know I couldn't have done as good a job, so I thank you, Pastor John, for doing that. I want to thank the administrative council for allowing this to happen, because it doesn't have to happen. And I also want to thank all of you for allowing me to do this. It's important to me, and I appreciate it. I know my mom's probably sitting there saying, why do you do this to yourself? You know, why do you feel you need to do this? Why do you open up old wounds? And she's probably right. But it does hurt to talk about Aaron and think about Aaron, but it hurts more not to, if that makes sense. So I ask that you guys, be patient with me this morning. If I break down, it's nothing new. I've cried enough tears to fill the Delaware Bay twice in 7 years. So it's nothing new. And I want and I need this morning to speak with clarity and purpose, and I pray for the strength to do so. And Terry prayed with me earlier, so I know I'm going to be fine. This is a happy day of dedication. I want it to be that. And I was only going to dedicate this screen and be done in 5 or 10 minutes, but it turned into a message. For whatever reason, maybe I think too much. All of you know the heartache and pain that Pam and I have experienced and continue to experience after our son's death. I'll say this, between the first and third baselines, Aaron could figure out anything. But outside of those lines, not so much. And he struggled with life, and a lot of our kids struggle with life, especially today. And, all the stimulation, so to speak, and it's not always good stimulation that they get on their phones. And God, I pray for our young kids and their parents, This is something I thought I'd never be walking through. If somebody told me that I'd be walking through this, I told them they were crazy. But the saying goes, if it can happen to me, it can happen to me and Pam, it can happen to anybody. And for the record, there's part of me that doesn't understand and probably never will understand why this had to happen and why God allowed this to happen. And yes, I said that, why God allowed this to happen. Satan is alive and well in our society today, and he challenges us daily. Sometimes it's meant to be. We don't understand it this side of heaven, but we're promised that someday we will understand it. him said today, oh, what a glorious day it'll be. And although I'm not in a hurry, I'm looking forward to that day. I know that statement sounded a little selfish, and yes, it is. And probably some of you have had those same thoughts, and you feel that way, maybe a little bit guilty.
Excuse me, I can no longer hear you.
I'll try speaking a little louder again until it starts working. But the believing, intellectual, God-fearing Joe understands differently, and I hold the keys, so to speak, to pain and suffering. All of us go through pain and suffering if we live long. There's no doubt about it. And biblically speaking, just look at the book of Job. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with his pain and suffering and what he had to go through. I don't like to compare pain and suffering because each of us walks through our own journey differently. So you can't really compare any journey. Our life's journey is different and unique to each and every one of us. But I'll even get a little more personal than that. I look inside the walls of these churches and I see people that have lost a young child. I see grandparents that have lost a young grandchild. I see husbands that have lost wives and wives that have lost husbands. And none of it's easy. Just recently, the Bruleys lost their beloved wife and mother in Emily. And I'm sure that's not easy for them. And I'm sure they have had many of the same questions that I have had. And I've come to learn that it's normal and natural to have those feelings. There are over 100 scriptures in the Bible that address this, and if we as Christians claim to be Christians, the Bible is something that helps us in our journey, and there's over 100 verses in the Bible that reference pain and suffering, and a little bit gives you a clue into why this happens. But there's also hope, and Pastor talked about hope this morning, and I asked Jim if he would put up this scripture that I refer to quite often. It's from the Apostle John, Revelations 21, 1-5, and I'll read it. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and there was no longer any sea. I saw the holy city, the new Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride, beautifully dressed for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, "Look, God's dwelling place is now among the people, and he will dwell with them. They will be his people, and God himself will be with them and be their God." Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Verse 4, my favorite verse. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain. For the old order of things has passed away. He who was seated in the throne said, "I am making everything new." Then he said, "Write this down, for these words are trustworthy and true." Now, after having said all this, some people, some of them Christian people, some of them even friends of mine that are Christians, have said to me, "Joe, if you believe what you say, why is it that you feel so much pain? Why do you cry? Why do you hurt so much?" I really didn't have an answer to that other than it hurt. I mean, somebody that lost somebody knows that. It was a fair question. But what it did for me, it had me questioning my faith and the validity and the strength of my faith. So I investigated, I looked into it. I talked to John about this, Pastor John, and it really has nothing to do with it. Everybody feels differently and reacts differently, and it doesn't mean you're a weak Christian. It just means you love your loved one. But anyway, I asked a person that's a whole lot brighter than I am, and I'm not going to mention their names. They put it to me this way. They said, Joe, you still live here, down here on earth. You're going to have pain and suffering. But it's no different than if you send your child to kindergarten for the first time. That's kind of traumatic. Now, I didn't cry when I sent my kid to kindergarten, but I sure was emotional. Pam might not have known that, and they might not have known that, but I was. Or your kid, like you're wishing your kid out. He might go halfway across the country. You might not see him for a year. I don't think that's desirable. And he said, it's no different. You know that you're going to be away from them for a time, and you're going to miss them until you're reunited with them. So I said, that's a great way to think about it. So, I hold on to that. I called Robert about a week ago, Robert, and asked if this was okay, because I didn't want to put him or his boys on the spot. I talked to Jack and Corbin briefly at the funeral of their mother, and I just wanted to know that, a lot of people say that I was in your shoes, and that falls lame sometimes when they say that. But I'm going to say to you two, I was in your shoes, and I can truly mean it. 42 years ago, I lost my father. Now you lost your mother. I lost my father. And I told Pastor John this in our meeting. I said, I was bitter. I was bitter and mad at God for 8 to 10 years. I still came to church. I still did whatever you think are the right things. I had good days. I had bad days. But deep down, I was right or wrong. I was mad. I was upset. And maybe you feel that. Hopefully you don't. And if you do, hopefully that doesn't last that long. But as you get older, you gain a little wisdom, I think. And like me, you have a lot to be thankful for, both of you. You were brought into this world, and you were loved by two people, your parents, who loved you. And that means a lot. Everybody doesn't get that. I now tell people that I would rather have had my father for 19 years than any other father for 60. And I mean that. I also want to give you a little insight, and I want to get off this a little bit and make this a happy time. You're going to have pain, you're going to have suffering. When you think about your mom, there's no doubt about it, there's no changing that. But you can also remember fondly and laugh and rejoice, and can find help and strength through our Lord and Savior, through family and friends, through your church family is where I found a lot of strength, because our church family sure did rally behind us. And I'll say this, God has a unique way of bringing healing light into our lives of darkness. And Jim, if you could put up the next, I wanted to show you a couple of my lights. Along with my wife and my kids. Jessica is a beautiful mother, and she runs a Bible study. She helps with a Bible study at chapel at Angel Stadium for the players' wives. My son, obviously, you know what he has done. So I'm very proud of my children, as I was Aaron. Okay, enough of that. I want to, the rest of the time this morning, oh, I thought you were through them already, Jim. I can pause a second. I think you have a quick video, don't you?
Yeah.
I'm glad Jim knows what he's doing because I have no idea how to operate this stuff. This is Beckham. We haven't taught him yet you don't slide to first base, but thanks, Jim. If Pam and I haven't thanked all of you appropriately, I want to thank all of you who have always supported our family. Many of you went to their games, whether it be the Cal Ripken games when they were young down here at Leesburg, when we put an all-star team together and played the mighty, mighty town of Millville, who chooses their kids from 200 kids, and we had a mere 15 kids to choose from, and to pick 11, and we had 2 kids on the team. It was a 12-year-old all-star team, and we had an 11-year-old Aaron, and we had a 10-year-old Kyle who played on that team. And we won the districts that year for Cal Ripken in this area, and that's never been done before and probably will never be done again. But that's something those kids will probably take with them for the rest of their life. And another joy I had about that was many of those kids came from this church. I know Walter Hampton's had a kid play. The Brannons had Eric playing on that team. So it was a highlight of my life, even if it wasn't theirs. We had the Millville High School games that many of you attended, where Millville won the South Jersey Group 4 championship, I think for the only time ever. If they did it one time, it was Mike's dad in '79, maybe. But Mike's team didn't even do it. And Aaron pitched that last game, and Kyle was a big part of that as well. Some of you witnessed that. Summer games down to Margate, I mean, you know, the Kramers were there almost all the time, and there were many others, Paul May, Judy May, that came to the church at that time that would come and watch the kids play. And trust me, they were very thankful that that happened. And heck, some of you even came cross country to Utah when Aaron was drafted and watched him play professionally in the minor leagues. So I just want to, it means a lot to me. And I know it did then. I said it before, and I truly mean this, the word family, and it's also on the plaque, includes all of you as family as well. And I can lighten the mood very easily. This whole thing, this morning, presentation, we had a plaque to present. Guess where it is? It's home. And so anyway, we'll get it out here. Maybe you can look at it next week. As you can see here, we brought a few of Aaron's things. You know, they're sitting in our house collecting dust. I kind of wanted to share them this morning with everybody, for those of you that might not have seen some of these things, to celebrate his life with us. Please, sorry. Please take your time and look around. Feel free to pick them up. You're not going to hurt them. If you drop them and break them, we'll fix them. It's not a big deal. They're meant to be enjoyed. They're only earthly trophies, but, you know, it's a good way to show who Aaron was, part of who he was. All right. So the last thing I have for you this morning will be a treat for all you baseball fans. As you guys know, Aaron was drafted in 2015 by the Angels organization for his pitching ability, but he wasn't any slouch at the plate either. And he holds many records at Gannon University for not only his pitching, but for hitting as well. There's a plaque up here on the table that you can look at for all his accomplishments. the amazing part of this whole thing, he was drafted as a junior, and these records were set with only 3 years. He had another year to go. So what he did in college was exceptional, and, you know, there weren't a whole lot of draftees from Gannon University. There have been a few, but, you know, he was definitely noticed. His catcher at Gannon his senior year, his name was Nico Baldelli. Sounds like a used car salesman, doesn't it? Ironically, he did that for about 5-6 years. He was, as a matter of fact, when Aaron got his signing bonus, he bought a truck from Nico. So he still refers to Aaron as the GOAT. And when he said that and started posting on Facebook, I said, why is he calling him a GOAT? I thought that was a bad connotation. And I come to find out it meant greatest of all time, which, you know, you can debate, but that's what it means. And he often posts that still today on Facebook. Nico still texts me, and his son wears the number 19 in Aaron's memory. He often texts me and gets a hold of me, and we talk. And Nico lost a brother in a similar fashion to how we lost Aaron, and it helps both of us to communicate and talk about it and just catch up from time to time. And I'll just take a brief second to say this. If any of you have sons or daughters, grandchildren, whatever, you yourself that are having difficulty with life, and it happens, you don't know that all the time, and you think somebody might harm themselves, you know, if you don't want to see a counselor, I'm offering my services. I would be glad to sit down with anybody. And Pam, I know, feels the same way. If we can avoid having this pain and suffering for parents and avoid the act altogether, then we would like to do that. So the offer's out there to all of you, and you can feel free to tell anybody you'd like. Before Jim puts this last video up for you to look at, I'm going to explain it a little bit. This will be Aaron's freshman year at Gannon, and they're in the PSAC finals in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. For those of you who don't know, PSAC is Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference. It's one of the premier Division II conferences in the state of Pennsylvania, and arguably one of the best in the country as far as ability level. And they could hold their own with some low-end Division I schools. There's no doubt in my mind. So it's pretty prestigious. Aaron also won, or was nominated and selected as Freshman of the Year that year for his not only his pitching ability, but his hitting as well. And he was chosen unanimously, and that's almost unheard of. And something I know he was very proud of, and something as a father that loves baseball that you're proud of. Anyway, the day before this championship game was a semifinal game where Aaron pitched in it. They had to win that game, and he wound up winning the game 7-1, I believe, from recollection, and he hit a home run to center field. And it's funny because I talked to Nico about this, and he always says to me, you know, Joe, I went 4 for 4 that game. Nobody else did, and Aaron still showed me up. So we laugh about that. In the championship game, the clip you're going to be watching, Aaron was Gannon's DH, which often happened after he pitched. And the situation was, and you'll see it on the scoreboard, the situation was just like you draw it up when you're a kid playing in the side yard. You know, basketball, the last shot at the buzzer to win the game. You're at the plate in a tight situation to win the game for your team in baseball. And it was 5-3 in the last inning with 2 outs and a runner on second and third, and you know that Aaron was the one that was up. And I want to tell you also that Aaron was up against a guy that was also selected in the Major League Draft 2013, and it was no slouch that he was hitting against. So I just wanted to point that out as well. In In this video, I wanted to make sure it was rated G, so I went through it and make sure there was no foul language or anything. You're going to hear a dad coaching his son, a nervous dad at that, coaching his son. And at the very end, you're going to hear a crazed woman releasing a ton of pent-up energy at the end. So I just wanted to warn you of that. But I want to thank all of you. You know, we want to dedicate this screen in Aaron's behalf. And our hope is that every time you look up at that screen, part of you thinks of Aaron. All right, Jim, you got it.
You're all right. You're all right.
Nice and balanced. Let's go get it. Come on.
You're all right.
Work back in here.
You're all right. That's it. That's it, buddy.
Swing it to right. Stay late. Stay late and sit.
Good job, Aaron. Come on, buddy. Good job. So he's up in the box now. He's waiting for that correct.
I almost got my camera, Aaron.
Get up in that box, bro.
Paranoid.
Boy. You got this. Good job.
Hey, get us those two. Tie it up. Let's go. Doesn't have to be fancy. Barrel up. Barrel up.
He's up in the box, man.